This is our last lesson in our unit on circles, and today we're going to be writing lots of equations of circles and equations of lines. So we're going to start off with the theorem that tells us what the equation of a circle is. An equation of a circle with center HK and a radius of R is this. This is the standard form for the equation of a circle. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. And you need to remember that. Okay, center is HK. Well, I'm sorry. I wrote this assuming if this would be the case if the center was at the origin, right? Yeah, oh, I drew some things in advance. So this would be the case if h equals 0 and k equals 0. In other words, the center is at the origin. Sometimes the center is not at the origin, so we have to account for that in the equation. So as I said, this is the standard form. So let's see how that works if we know the situation with this circle. Write the standard equation of the circle with a center at 0, 6, and a radius of 3. So this means, here's our h. So h equals 0, k equals 6, and r equals 3. So we're just going to plug this into our formula up here. Let's write it again so we don't forget it. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So let's plug in what we got. If h is 0, we don't need to write x minus 0. That's just going to be x squared. And k is 6, so y minus 6 squared. And if r is 3, then r squared is 9. So that's it. There's the equation for that circle whose center is at 0, 6, and has a radius of 3. Okay, I went ahead and sketched this up here before I started, so I wouldn't have to waste so much time doing sketches in this lesson, and I've done a few more. So if you want to pause here and put your little sketch up and then come back, we'll talk about this. It tells us the point 1, -1 is on our circle, and I have that sketched in. It tells us the center is at -3, 4, and we're to write the standard equation. So let's see what h is. H is, so here's our equation. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So if h is -3, then I got to do x minus -3, which is going to be x plus 3 squared. And if k is 4, that'll be y minus 4 squared. And, oh, I don't know the radius. Shoot, so I can't finish it. Okay, well, how can I figure that out? Well, I've got a point on the circle. Here's the radius. So all I got to do now is figure out the length of the radius, right? How am I going to do that? With the distance formula, of course. So I got my 2 points. So let's see, I'm going to do -1 minus -3 squared plus 1 minus 4 squared. So what's that going to be? Let's see, 3 minus 1 squared, so that would be 4, and 3 squared would be 9. So that's the square root of 13. R is the square root of 13, but I need r squared for my equation, right? So the square root of 13 squared would just be 13. So there's my equation. Right there. Okay. Here's another one. Oh, this one's much easier than that one, because we don't have to figure out how long the radius is. It's given to us. Let's see, h, remember the center is hk, so h is -5, k is -3. So if I plug it into my formula, x minus h is x minus -5, so x plus 5 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals r squared, so 25. There we go, right there. Okay, let's see what we're going to do next. Graph sum, I think. The equation of a circle is x minus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 16. Okay, right away, I know that this is r squared, right? And this is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So r is 4, h is -3, and h is +3, right? Because I'm doing x minus h, so x minus +3, k is -1. All right, so now we just put these on our graph. Our center, that means our center is at 3, -1, hk. So that goes right there. And then I just count over from my center however many units long the radius is. Well, it's 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just connect all those, and guys, I find it much easier when I'm trying to freehand sketch a circle if I just do it in with some dots. Somehow that enables me to make it look much more like a circle than an egg. So you might want to try that too. You can use your compass if you want, but if you're just doing a sketch, you don't have to use your compass. Okay, here's another one right here. Please pause and graph this one and then check and see if you got it. So there we go. H is 1, K is -3. That means our center is at 1, -3, and the radius is 3. So I just sketch in the 4 points, or plot the 4 points, and then connect them with my dashed line so my circle doesn't look too much like an egg. Okay, for these next two problems, if you want to pause and sketch them, I did that ahead of time, or you can just follow this and then sketch them in later, whatever you want to do. So what do we know? We know the point 4, -5 is on a circle. So here it is, 4, -5, whose center is at -2, 3. So here's H, here's K. Write the standard equation of the circle. Okay, well I know that x plus 2 squared, because H is -2, plus y minus 3 squared equals r squared. I don't know what r is. Oh, but look, this is just like the other problem, or very similar to it that we had a while ago, right? We got to find the length of r. So we're just going to use the distance formula. R equals 4 minus -2, so 6 squared, plus -5 minus 3, so that's -8 squared. So what have I got there? The square root of 36 plus 64, 100. So r is the square root of 100, which is 10. So that means my equation is going to be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals r squared, which would be 100. Okay, next one. Write the equation of the line tangent to a circle at 2, 4. You know what? I want you to pause right here. Draw this little sketch. Please draw this sketch that I have here. And you know what? I want you to do this problem. I'm not going to put the solution up yet because some of you will figure this out. Actually, what I'll do is I'll tell you what the answer is, and I want you to see if you can figure out how to do it. The equation of this tangent line is y equals -4x plus 12. So I'm going to check this when you get to class and make sure you gave it a try. You got all kinds of hints here starting with my drawing. So see if you can figure that one out. All right, let's see what we have now. Find all the points of intersections of the graph below, and I graphed my circle in red. X squared plus y squared equals 8. I know the center here is at 0, 0, and I know the radius is the square root of 8, which is 2 times the square root of 2. So I kind of just eyeballed that circle, and then I graphed my line, y equals 2. Okay, and then what did I do? How am I going to solve any two equations with two unknowns? I got a system of equations, and in this case it's going to be very easy to use substitution because this equation is already solved for y. So I'm just going to plug that in. Equals 8. x squared equals 8 minus 4, which is 4. Take the square root of both sides. Don't forget, you get plus or minus 2 when you solve an equation by taking the square root of both sides. So I know that y equals 2. So look, I got 2 points of intersection, which must mean this is the x equals negative 2. And here's where x equals positive 2. Okay, I knew I had 2 solutions, and so I put these together, and I get negative 2, 2, and positive 2, 2. Because remember, x has to be negative 2 and positive 2, and I know that y is always 2. Okay, here's another one, a little bit more challenging. Why don't you give it a try? I'll put the solution up, and you can come back and check it. All right, here we go. This one was a little bit long, but not that difficult really. Once again, I decided to use substitution because my second equation is already solved for y. I drew my sketch up, you know, the circle here. I can see this circle has a center of -1, +1. All right, h is -1, k is +1. The radius is the square root of 18, so that's a little bit, that's approximately 4 point something. So that's how I sketched my circle in. And then I know that the line has a y-intercept up here at x equals 8 and a slope of 1, so I sketched that in there. And I really didn't know at the time. I really didn't sketch my line in until after I found out that there was only 1 point of intersection. So when you're sketching, it's very hard. I did the circle first, found out that there was 1 point of intersection, and then I sketched my line in to make sure it looked like a reasonable solution. Okay, so I substituted in y equals x plus 8 right here. And then I just had to FOIL both of these binomials. I had to square both of the binomials, which is what I did in this step, and then I combined like terms, and then I could see that all my terms were divisible by 2. So this is where I factored out that 2. Then I divided both sides by 2. Then I subtracted the 9 from both sides to see if I could factor this quadratic, and sure enough I could. And when I took the square root of both sides, I got x plus 4 is 0, which means x had to be -4. So then I plugged x equals -4 way back up here into this equation. Could I have plugged it into the other equation? Yeah, but why would I do a crazy thing like that? Much too difficult. And that means y has to be +4. And so since I only got 1 point of intersection, I knew that this was a tangent and not a secant. No 2 points of intersection, just 1. So like I said, that's when I went back and sketched my tangent line in, because it was only at the end that I realized it was a tangent. Okay, let me know if you have any questions on this lesson when we get to class next time. We'll review a little next time, and then we'll have our tests on circles. Have a good day.